Good morning, everyone. It is July 22nd. Just had myself a TED Talk. I've got some GI tract issues from a memory that I had last night and this morning. So I'm going to reiterate again the importance of going back over your journal entries. Last night I laid down and just had a image of a woman being thrown down to the floor. She was naked and had a long ponytail. And at first I thought it was me, but then I realized, no, that's like a full-grown woman and I'm a child. And that was all it was. And I laid back down or drifted back off again. And I thought, no, get your phone, record that. Put it down, don't ignore it. The part's showing you for a reason. You don't want to ignore that part because then that part's going to, submerge again. So I did, and when I did, I got more context to that memory, a lot more. And so I recorded all of that. I don't know, it took maybe 5 or 10 minutes. And then I finally drifted off, and I had lots and lots of dreams. I don't remember what they were. But then this morning, when I went out to do my garden chores, I sat down in my chair. Because that's one of the deals I made with my parts. If they let me sleep through the night, then the next morning as we're outside, and I do it outside because my husband's generally still sleeping and I don't want to disturb him. So I sit out there and reread the entries from the night before, and when I did that, even more of the context filled in, so I dictated that into my phone as well, and then went back through and corrected the errors. So go over it again and again. You'll get more details. You'll get more of the context. Later, I'll share those entries with you. But needless to say, I remembered my knee getting whacked again in that memory. And as I remembered that, it hurt a little bit more. I worked out most of my injuries to my knee with TED Talks, and it was just the tiniest little sore spot. But then when I remembered that, I got maybe 5% more of the pain back. So got to work that out still. And my GI tract is screwed up. So not the highest level of energy right now, but I wanted to get this journal entry done. So here we go. This is December 17th of 23. I was thinking about how do I go from being 4 years old and talking to God on his lap when I disassociated, 6 years old, praying to God so hard that he came into me and scared off the witches and stopped that ritual, which I believe now was to create some sort of bad possession of me, to teaching I don't know what this means here, to teaching a traveling witch to teach a traveling witch how to do a big spell when I was 10. That's quite a big leap. So I'm 4 and 6 years old, talking to God and escaping to him when I disassociated, to years later I have a witch coming to my house that my dad would have come to my house teaching me sexual and witchcraft things, but now I'm teaching her how to do a spell. I thought that is a big leap. How did I go from there to there? That was going through my mind. I recalled Corky the clown, a familiar spirit in Dad's family. He was with Dad when I was an infant. I think he came into Dad when he drank. When Dad changed my diaper, Corky would fondle me. Really, it was my dad. But I could sense that spirit there. So, Mom caught him/Dad once. Corky left and Dad fumbled for an explanation. Mom took over and made Dad leave. Grandma told Dad to use Corky so as to condition my body to accept sexual touching. He did. And after this, months later, I remembered that from infancy on, my dad was always poking and prodding me, be it in my ribs, my abs, my vaginal cavity, my anus, my mouth, whatever. It's just some sick thing that they do to train children to be raped. So after the ritual at 6, when Jesus came, Grandma told Dad to have Corky handle it, and he did. Because Jesus had scared off all the witches in that ritual, and so she didn't get to finish what she was doing, which I believe was to have a demon come and possess me, have me accept that in, and it didn't happen. So she's telling Dad to have Corky interact with me, Dad's demon. Which I find funny that his name is Corky. He looked like a clown. Corky the clown. And I was talking to my counselor about it. He goes, well, think about it. Corky, what do? You're corking, you're plugging up things. And there he is fondling you. And I didn't even dawn on me until he mentioned it. But yeah. So in the basement, Dad would drink. Then he would get me out of bed. Downstairs, I would sit on Dad's lap. Corky would talk to me. It was very subtle at first. Hours and hours of conversations with Corky. Who is Jesus? How do I know him? Simple things. He would agree with me to gain my trust. I thought he was Dad. I thought I was talking to my dad. But in this recollection here, I was interacting with this familiar spirit. After a while, Corky would question my allegiance to God and Jesus. Why have it? Who or what are they anyhow? I wrote here, all done will the emotional logic of me, a child. Oh, yeah. So he's having this conversation with me, and I'm like, I don't know, I think 4 or 5. He would mirror me and then use my understandings to confuse me. Then he would insert his own logic into me. Slowly, I began to reject and question Jesus and put my trust in Corky/Dad. It's why I agreed to be Dad's lover. It's why I practiced with Angie and Mary the witch dance and let Jolly #2 train me, that witch that traveled around training girls. I accepted it all. But all along, I wet the bed and soiled my spaces to get Dad to reject me. My subconscious resistance, I suppose. It was cleverly done by a master demon. I was turned not from God, a silent God, but from Jesus. And I put in parentheses, who are the same. So by that point, I'm realizing as I'm reading this that Corky had confused the two. Jesus from God, God from Jesus. At the end of each talk, Corky would say, now you just forget all about me and listen to your dad. I also recall that the progression of talks from the beginning at 6 to age 10 was also accompanied by the progression of fondling and abuse. And I'll add in here, rape. As the talks got me further from Jesus, the touching/sex got me further into the witchcraft ideology. And all along, Dad got calls from his mom and dad guiding him in what to do, also further possession by Corky through them. Plus, Jolly, too, would instill conditioning in him and me for us to accept. She had certain hand motions that imprinted ideas into us. Dad would drink and also smoke pot and shotgun the pot smoke into me. Jolly, too, was his dealer. She brought it. Always late after 1 a.m. and Mom went to bed, Jolly snuck in and out of the basement and Bob's basement. Bob's our neighbor. I'd say between 11 p.m. or 1 or 2 a.m. in the few times a month. Weekly, once or twice. Once at my house, once at Kevin's. He had training too. On this page I put the Corky deceptions. He asked me about God, and I told him the Lord's Prayer, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Mom had taught me that. He stopped me. Dad is my father. How can God be my father when he's not even here? Doesn't make sense. I, meaning Dad, am your father. So this is Corky talking through my father. So I am your father. How can he be, meaning God or Jesus? A father does X, Y, and Z, etc., and that's what I do. He played with the semantics of the word father to downplay God's role. Then he talked about the Bible. He would even open one up and read from it. He would read it very choppily and sarcastically. He would ask, does that even make sense? This is too confusing. I can't make any sense of it at all. And I put on the side here, Mom didn't object, obviously. I'm not really sure where that came from. Over and over he did this. Plus, this could be done outside of sex abuse during the day. To this day, I resist reading the Bible. And it does confuse me. I think it's too symbolic and I don't know the symbols. Plus, I believe the devil messed with it, so why bother? Which, I think that's Corky, my part Corky, writing this. I didn't know that when I wrote it at the time. Perhaps now I will be able to read it. So I was talking to my counselor about it months ago, and he told me the version of Bible that he used and why, because it's it's simple and it's translated correctly, And he told me to read it out loud, and as I'm reading it, to have Corky there with me. And so I've gone through Genesis reading it out loud, and I stopped there because I started having just massive tons amount of memories. So that's on hold for right now. This next page says deceptions. Corky/Dad would say, and how can he be three people at once? Father, I am that, son, and ghost. You're a ghost when you're dead. Doesn't make sense to me. This one, Mom explained. I never got confused with this one. God, Jesus, Spirit, one. And what about this mother as a virgin thing? Not possible. Has to be from Joseph. He is the dad of Jesus. This made the supernaturalness of Jesus a moot point. Took me until 2023 to realize Jesus is supernatural, which I explained in a previous video about reading those biblical scholars about how they changed the cultures. Plus, Dad always saying, Jesus effing Christ, made him seem human to curse at, intentionally so, I think. Plus the God damn it curse. I realized about 8-10 years ago, why say this? You just make a situation worse by asking God to damn it. So I stopped doing that in my adult life about 10 years ago. When I get frustrated now, I say, God bless it, God bless it, God bless it. And I did that because I had to retrain myself to not say, God damn it. And so instead of, I would say that once, now to train myself, say, God bless it, God bless it, God bless it, God bless it. And you know what? Whatever I'm working on that has been frustrating me generally smooths out and goes fine. So Dad/Corky covered all the basics. God the Father, the Trinity, Jesus as supernatural, Mary with virgin birth, and the Bible being difficult. 5 things screwed me up. So my next journal entry, December 26th of 23. I'm starting to recall that day I said I saw the baby killed. I don't think I was just hiding behind the coats in the hall. It started that way. I was discovered. My feet shone at the bottom. That teen girl, the mom of that baby, saw me, my feet. She pushed aside the coats and grabbed my arm. She pulled me out. I was super scared. I gasped when she moved the coats. I began to cry. She drugged me to Grandma in that room. Look what I found, she says. I tried to pull away. She had her fingers digging into my arm. Grandma took me. Good, she'll be the third. Tell Joni to help the girls. The teen girl ran to do it and was back. Grandma put me in a corner and positioned herself so as I could not just walk out. She had a gleam in her eyes and a smile. Good, this will initiate you sooner. Your sisters were never curious like you. You'll do just fine. The teen girl brought the baby in and gave it to Grandma. Grandma unwrapped it, tossed the blanket aside. He'll do just fine too. It's perfect. We three shall slit him open and drink his blood. I was terrified and started calling for Jesus to help me. The baby started to cry. Grandma put something in his mouth. He was gagging. She laid him on the table/altar and wrapped the rope from the ceiling around his ankles, then hoisted him up. He was trying to cry/breathe. He was wiggling and shaking. He was turning blue. I kept calling Jesus to help us, me and the baby. Grandma and the teen girl lit candles and said some spells. They asked for, quote, the power of Satan to fill us as this blood fills this chalice. They both looked greedy, hungry, excited, and anxious. They pulled me into the table, up on it, then put my hand on the curvy knife. The teen girl's hand was put over mine, and Grandma's hand over the teen girl's. Grandma guided the knife in our hands up to the penis of the baby and sliced it off. And I'll just interject here right now. My GI tract is really flaring right now. She caught it in her other hand, laid it aside, then back to the knife, to his anus, and in it, deeply. The baby stiffened, then went slack as she pushed our hands down through the baby's front, down to his neck. She moved him so the blood ran into the cup. And I have a little arrow off to the side because as I reread it, I remembered more. Grandma said, let this dagger open this sacrifice to you, O Satan, dear Lucifer, and let your power open into me. They both chanted this while the cup filled. Grandma told me to say it too. I couldn't. I wasn't breathing. The blood squirted onto me. I prayed for Jesus to help me. The baby was gone, meaning dead. They licked the blood from wherever they could. They licked me. I cringed. I was frozen. I could see my bloody hand under the other two hands. They were giddy and seething, panting, excited. The blood on our hands was warm. Our hands got slippery. When the blood stopped, slowed, she let our hands go. I had blood all over me. Standing on that table put me at the same height as him. It squirted out at me and on me. It got my mouth. I gagged. It got in my mouth. I gagged. I cried. I pulled my hand away, but she didn't let go. Grandma said, you've just been blooded, your first blooding of many. When she did let go, I just stood there. I cried for Jesus to help me in my head. Grandma said, if you ever tell, you will be the next to hang. You understand? Yes, Grandma. Now stop crying. She put me down and told me to go get ready now. I turned slowly and walked out. I looked at all the blood on me in my hand. It was in my hair. I think in my ear too, because Another lady took my wrist and led me to the ritual room. She took off my clothes. I was naked with a bloody hand and hair. She told another lady to burn my clothes, and she swiftly took them away. The ritual began. I was in a daze. I was praying in my head, Jesus help me, Jesus help me. All the while the rest were hailing Ra and hailing Satan. I couldn't do the dance. I stumbled and fumbled around. At some point, the curse of daggers was put on me, never to tell of what I had seen or heard or felt, or 1,000 daggers would go into me. After a while of others' ceremonies, then it was my turn. So that's how it always was, is there was this ritual which each child would, go to the center and have something done to them, and then it was my turn. I was put in the center. I fell to the ground and balled up on my knees. I tried to be as tight as I could to not open my body. But Dad was brought in and grabbed my neck like a cat. Someone took my arms behind my back. I was lifted up. Grandma was in my face. She made me drink that blood from that cup. Which I'm just realizing now, I've read this ritual before, but because I had reread it, I got more context of what was going on. I was moved around and around, chanting in a smoking room. I was hot, so hot, I was sweating. They moved around me. Grandma in my face again with a spell. That's when I puked in her face and she was furious. I just projectile vomited. They had me lifted up so we were kind of face to face. Oh my God, in this moment right now, I'm realizing that it was going to be that thing where they transfer spirits from one person to the other by breathing each other's breath in. Ew. I'm going to write that down real quickly. The breath transfer of spirit. See, when you reread it and talk about it, you get more details. So I puked in her face and she was furious. And she just roared, "Who dare defy me?" I think she was thinking another demon was competing with her demon. That's when Jesus came and scared them all away. And my next memory was Angie and Mary cleaned me up in a shower there, but they had to find clothes for me. Mary was all over looking. She found something. Mary said, "What are we going to tell Mom?" Angie, "I don't know." Mary, "These aren't even her clothes." Angie, "Maybe she won't notice." They got me dressed. I was like a rag doll. Angie was yelling at me to help. I just looked at her not moving. She scolded me, "Come on, you're not a baby, help." Mary moved my arms and legs. I remember the towel wiping my face, Mary just looking at me, disgusted. They walked me outside. That's when I saw Mom and ran to her. I was a babbling, crying, hysterical mess. Mom did notice the, quote, jello in my hair. Angie said I puked all over my clothes, so she changed me. I recall that baby hanging there just like it was an animal carcass. No respect given to it. On the side here I wrote, "The ceiling ropes were high enough for an adult body." So next entry, December 27th, 23. I remember in the days afterwards I would sit with my thumb in my mouth and rock for hours and hours. I would flinch when someone touched me. I wouldn't talk. Mom asked me yes and no questions so I could respond. I looked up for yes, otherwise I looked down, rocked, and sucked my thumb. I heard her argue with Dad. How could I get so traumatized if nothing went on? She questioned Angie and Mary to no avail. They just said they didn't know what happened, that I just flipped out. Mom was worried and mad for a long time. She began to relax as I came out of my coma, so to speak. She had to feed me like a baby for days and days. She promised we would never go back there. Dad blew up at that. But Mom put her foot down and refused to budge. God and I love her for that. We never did go back. She was duped and duped over and over, before that and after. There was always someone to take her away so I/we could be abused. "Come on, Karen, the kids will be fine." And off she went with someone. I clung on to my mom for years and years. I was terribly shy when Mom would take me shopping or something. I was literally clinging to her leg all the time out in public. I was just really screwed up. No wonder Mary always thought Mom was stupid, because she knew the deception but never told. Angie never told. I only told when I was 25 or so. They all believed me but had no memory of anything. And that's to this day. But as I'm reading this, I've now since had other memories when I was, I think, 6. At my grandma and grandpa's house, they buried me in the ground and left me there for about 6 or 8 hours. And I told my mom, and she was gaslighted into not believing it. And I was furious with her. Excuse me, my ear is itching. That she didn't believe me. She believed them, and they kept telling her that I was, just attention seeking and being a problem. And here's a new entry. That teen girl, Jennifer, was a breeder. That baby was marked. It had a pentagram on the chest and a cross on the forehead. When he was inverted, so then were the symbols. It was done in, I put ... burn marks, I think, to a somewhat healed or scarred state, deep and thick, but the baby wasn't crying. So this baby was, I don't even know how to judge how old it was. I can't imagine more than 2 months old. So this girl, this teenage girl that had the baby, the breeder, probably got pregnant by her father, hid her pregnancy, had the baby, and then put a pentagram, upright pentagram on the baby's, what did I put? On the chest and a cross on the forehead, like the good way. But then when that baby was hung upside down for its sacrifice, it was an inverted pentagram and an inverted cross. The baby was marked. It had a pentagram on the chest and a cross in the forehead. When he was inverted, so then were the symbols. It was done in burn marks. So they were preparing for this ritual, and whoever scarred it did it with enough time for it to heal up. I put it was somewhat healed, scarred state, deep and thick, but the baby wasn't crying. Grandma said something like, the marks showed the Christian cross and white magic, but as he was hung by his ankles, he became Satan's child. They were inverted. Which, I'm going to interject here that if you're practicing what you think is white magic or good magic, you use magic in a good way, all magic is from Satan, all of it. You've just been beguiled into thinking that it's good. Jesus and God don't approve of any witchcraft at all, because it's all witchcraft. There is no such thing as good and bad witchcraft. It's all witchcraft. Grandma said something like, the marks showed the Christmas... Oh, I read that already. I think that's why Jesus said, this child is mine, be gone. And boy, did they all fly out of there, some hissing. And I put in quotes here, I am Jesus. This child is mine, be gone. This is what he said. I was very tired. My body and heart and head hurt after he left. I regressed in age for weeks. I can see the innards of that boy falling out of his body onto the table/altar. It was stainless steel with raised edges, no spillage. Grandma gutted him like a pro. Penis, finger, heart, organs, guts, the body put into an incinerator off in the corner of the room. Everything went into its designated location very efficiently. No muss, no fuss, she said. Jennifer was giggling and bouncing around as Grandma cleaned up. I was taken away to the ritual prep room. I was naked and marked with symbols. This was with the boy's blood. This is what Angie and Mary cleaned off me later. My clothes were put in the incinerator with the boy. They were told to hurry up, mistress is waiting. I had an inverted cross on my forehead. an inverted pentagram on my chest, 6-pointed star, a hexagram on my back over my heart. We all had these, but I also had the bloody hand with Jennifer and Grandma. I had been properly blooded. Grandma kept saying that I was going to be a powerful witch, that I had good instincts, and that's why I went to her to watch. Because I was a Leo, I had strong magic. Mom refused to take us there, so Grandma called Dad a lot. The fact that he had 3 girls was a good thing for witches, but he had to develop me the most. She would send people to help. Boy, did she. Dad was her whipping boy. She degraded and humiliated him at every chance. Dad wanted to please her. Dad would talk to her and then to someone else about what she said. All of this over the phone. I would hear him. I let slip once when the boy was in front of me, "Jesus help us." Grandma slapped me so hard I fell into Jennifer. She kept me from flying off the table. I kept chanting, "Jesus help us," me and the boy, over and over and over, but in my head then. She told me never to say that name again and to stop crying or I would be hanging next. I stopped crying. Then she did her incantations and took our hands over the knife, and we killed that baby boy. Blood splattered all over my face and body. I recoiled at it. I closed my eyes. Grandma smacked me again and said to look, to watch. I did. My stomach got upset, but I pushed it down. I got dizzy too. My feet slipped in his blood. Jennifer was giddy. Grandma was energized, empowered. They had on black robes. Grandma put the marks on our bodies. I recall now I was naked. She wiped a clean spot on my chest to put the mark there. Same on my forehead. She had stripped me down before she put me up on that table. I remember it was cold in there. She glared at me. I'd be warm soon enough. She also put her bloody hand on my vagina so as to mark that. Just a handprint, I think. You belong to Satan now, she said. I was horrified and prayed more. And I know that's a little disjointed, but that's how the memories came. So this entry is December 28th of 23. I remembered when I was in my trauma, the coma, Mom got me out of bed, hand-fed me and put me in front of the TV. Only she and I were home. Angie and Mary were in school. I got to start school late. Dad was at work. I sat cross-legged on the floor with a pillow in front of me, hugging it so as to protect my innards, torso, vagina, and chest. I sucked my thumb and rocked. The TV was on, but in the beginning I didn't really see it. I stared into space from time to time a loud or jarring item would come from the TV and it would draw my attention for a moment. I sucked my thumb until my jaw hurt. I rocked all the time. Then back to staring out into space of my mind. The events ran over and over. I would cry or I would shout out. Mom would come soothe me. You're all right now. I'm here. You're home now, etc. Over time, the TV would draw me back to this world. At night, Dad would put his face in my face and give the shh sign, finger over his lips. Or he would say I put quote-unquote word of programming, which was daggers. Remember the 1,000 daggers, he would say. That would instill panic and fear in me. I would wet myself. Mom was always perplexed about this. She put me in diapers for a while. So I'm like 5. Angie and Mary would from time to time try to get my attention. It didn't work. I stared past them. In bed at night, we all shared a room. I would cry or yell in my sleep. Dreams of the murder. Angie and Mary would sometimes get up to the point of yelling at me to shut up. There was an extra bedroom used for Mom's and Dad's stuff, ironing, sewing, Dad's drafting table. Angie was supposed to get it for being the oldest. Mom put me in there so as to not disturb Angie and Mary. Angie was pissed off. It was hers. She threw quite a fit. Mary ate it up, loved the fact that Angie was thwarted from having her own room. I used to be terrified of the witches under my bed. I would lay as perfectly even from all the sides of the bed so that, should they reach up to get me from any side, they would have the longest reach possible. I learned to tell time from the analog clock on the shelf headboard. I would count each movement of each hand from seconds to minutes on up. I slowly realized how it worked. Mom was teaching me. After 2 or 3 nights, I could tell time. I would see that murder over and over. There is another aspect. The boy was skinned after he was drained of his blood and organs. Grandma did the cuts down his arms and legs around the ankles and wrists, then flipped him on his front. She told Jennifer to help once she got the arms and legs done. When she had done that, she and Jennifer pulled the skin slowly from the neck and shoulders down. Be careful not to tear it. You want one whole piece. They got to the waist, and Grandma put my hand where hers were and told me to pull gently. And you'll see me going like this, and you'll know why in a second. My hands quivered, so she kept her hands over mine. Jesus help me, over and over in my head while I held back tears. The feel was like skin paper, I put. It shouldn't feel like that. Skin should not do this or feel like this. His raw body was gleaming red. We pulled to his butt. Grandma did the legs from the ankles up. I was relieved to be done. Jennifer was bouncing around. When Grandma was done, she put the skin of the boy on Jennifer's shoulders and said, "Now you are properly skinned. You should use it as a book cover for your incantations." Her robe was off, and she eagerly accepted this skin on her skin. I was backing away from them. Jennifer saw this and came up to me and put it on my shoulders. I shuddered at it, like I am right now. The skin and blood of it on my skin. It slid around. It was slipping off, and they both grabbed it. Have to take care of this. It's precious. Grandma said to Jennifer, that's what she said to Jen. Jen took it back onto her shoulders, and she flung it around, playing with it. Excuse me. Grandma had the boy's head put in a white cooler box to sell. She cut off the hands and feet to sell too. She put the organs and intestines chopped up in an ornate bowl next to the chalice of blood. This is for later, she said. Once all of that was done, the baby's body and my clothes were burned in the incinerator. It was raging with fire. Then we 3 went to the ritual room. No one came to get me. That was an assumption so I could block out the skinning. See, so I reread it and got more details and context. Jesus help me, over and over in my head. Grandma pushed me from behind into the circle of girls in the ritual room. The bowl and chalice were given to each of us by Grandma as she walked counterclockwise to each girl. We each had a piece of organ and a drink of blood. Grandma didn't move until she saw our empty mouth. I got very hot. I was nauseous. We were supposed to do the dance and chant. I couldn't. My head was swimming. I was off balance and almost fell a couple of times. One witch was shadowing me and kept me upright and moving. I was put in the middle. I dropped to the floor. Dad was brought in. He took my neck. My shadow took my arms behind me. Grandma began her incantations and spells. She put the 1,000 daggers spell on me again. And this is what she said. Should I speak of any of this, I would have 1,000 daggers stabbed into me. Excuse me a second, my dog needs to go out. All right, baby. All right, come on. Go out. You're fine. Then the incantations to make me a witch, I think to take on a demon. This is when I rose off the ground. Dad's eyes got very large. He got giddy. Grandma nodded. My shadow let go of me and stepped back. My arms fell to my side. Dad let go. That's when I puked on Grandma. That's when Jesus came and scared them off. Jesus set me down, but my ankles were weak and I dropped to my knees. Again, a knee injury. Then my hands hit the floor and my wrists gave out too. And my whole life, my wrists have never been very strong. I was on the ground, rolled to my side and balled up. I put my arms over and around my head. I just stayed there for a while. I heard Dad tell Angie and Mary to go get me. They didn't want to. They were scared, but I think because the adults were scared. But they came and dragged me up. I stumbled to the shower room. They cleaned me up and dressed me. I just stared out, said nothing. They both were almost yelling at me to be normal. I couldn't. Then they guided me outside. When I saw Mom, I ran to her crying and hysterical. And I added in here parentheses because after I read it, I remembered another detail. I saw Grandma in the far-off window doing the silence sign. Then she was gone. Then the drive to Grandma and Grandpa's to get our stuff and an argument with all of the adults, then the drive home. I didn't speak or move much on my own. Mom and Dad argued a lot on the drive and back home. Mom put all of us to bed. In the morning, I was in the trauma coma, for lack of a better word. Slowly, very slowly, I came back to this world. I went to school. I made some sort of mark on the cement landing step to our back door. I think it was a pentagram or a... I put it on here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. It's very tiny right there, where you have the two triangles, but they intersect without, the ends touching. I believe that's a sign of Satan. Dad was pissed. He gave me a metal brush to try and get it off. It was in spray paint. I scrubbed and scrubbed. It didn't come off. I recall scraping my fingertips on it to try and get it off. They bled a little. I just stared at my bloody hands for a long time. Mom saw eventually and told Dad to go to hell, just paint over it. She patched me up. I went into the coma for a while again. A few days, I think. A couple of sick days from school plus the weekend off, then back to school. Mom told me just to forget all about it. Ultimately, I did, but only after she divorced him. I only remembered the sexual abuse by Dad only in my 20s. Worked on that for 30 years. I only remembered the rest just this year, in these entries. After my baptism in April and quitting pot in September. I did recall the ritual sex abuse by the males in the church during my marriage, and usually while Chris and I were having sex. Dad, then others who were faceless, then after a few years the faces filled in, then the voices filled in. Now it's a flood of memories in a very short time. Mom and Dad and Alan all died. And I'm talking about Alan Watt here. I was just thinking about all the death I had experienced before my memories flooded back. My dad died April 3rd, so which is 4/3 of 2020. Then Alan died March 4th, which was 3/4 of 2021. And then my mom died December 8th of 22. So Mom and Dad and Alan all died, and I finished the transcripts, which occupied so much time and attention. So I was realizing that was, I think, a part of a huge reason why it freed up a lot of my memories, because my mom and dad had passed away, and Alan, which I had occupied so much time for 17 years doing his transcripts, they were finally done, and now my mind was resting. So, I wish I could tell how long goes on, but it doesn't. Oh, 45 minutes. Geez, I guess that's enough for today. I finally found the counter. So I guess I'll just reiterate again, and probably for the third or fourth time while I read this, is go back over and reread your entries. You will get more details. You will get more context. You'll get more conversation and actual literal quotes, things that you hear people say. It's so important because those conversations help you put the whole picture together. Anyhow, I guess I'll let you go for today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for, just, it's hard. It's hard to communicate and, not that I'm reliving it, but, the body does and the emotions are there. So thanks for just coming along the journey. Y'all have a great day and a great week, and I will see you again. Round and round, what comes